Everybody has a stake in this, has a responsibility for this, has an ability to change this. Because honestly, one of the big myths is, well, law enforcement will handle it and blah, blah, blah. Watch those episodes and tell me, law enforcement needs this.
Yeah.
The best things that happen are civilians getting what's needed to engage law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement has to have a trigger to investigate. And that's where we come in.
Hello and welcome back to The Movement, a podcast to resource, empower and develop leaders in the fight against human trafficking. This is part 3 of a series where we have an expert, Dottie Laster. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And we're talking about kids, interaction with kids, education, and making sure we're educated. Last series, we talked about technology, understanding technology, getting time, understanding, training yourself, being alongside your kids as well as spending time with your kids was kind of the theme that we had. Now we're going to talk about deeper understanding of what it looks like with kids and what to do and what prevention looks like. So we'll start there.
Well, I want to bring this picture to a parent's mind. Somewhere, right now, there is someone that's more dedicated than you, more experienced than you, with more drive than you on the internet targeting a child or young adult. And that's true times 2 million, 10 million, I don't know. But every bad guy in the world has the time, the drive, the dedication, the motivation to target your child. And that's why we're here today. We want to give you the knowledge and understanding so that you can combat that. Because let me tell you, it's real. I deal with it every day.
So why is it important, or maybe how, do you bring the language in with kids? The importance of talking about trafficking at early ages, and how do you do that? Do you have advice on that?
Luckily, my kids are older. I got to skip this, but I've helped so many parents. I'm speaking from their experiences. And I believe if I were having to do it again, I would start early on building a framework that strengthens them throughout their development. And I would start by being, we talked about earlier, professional skepticism, twisting that to parental skepticism about everything that enters your child's world. And I know, parents have some guidelines for that, but I mean amp them up a little more.
Yeah. Anything
online, absolutely 100% top red line. Put the controls in. I'm going into auditing. We talk about internal controls. What are the internal controls for your family? So you start with, internet, because we don't know what it is that's coming in.
Yeah.
And literally, parents, I've had people in parents' houses that they didn't know were there while they were asleep. So you need to look at the internet as giving a key to your front door to everyone in the world. Now, what's your internal control?
So you're saying that people were physically inside the building without the parents knowing?
Their daughter in 5 cases that I personally worked on let the stranger in the house with other children, with the valuables, with the parents.
Just thinking that this is someone I know and trust.
Yeah, because they didn't have life experience to understand this internet that connected them to the world that parents obviously gave permission.
Yeah.
Because who stopped it? Nobody.
Yeah.
So there's a bad guy thing. Well, if you don't say no, it's kind of like you said yes. And that's the same with our children. If you didn't stop it and put internal controls on it, it's like you gave permission. And definitely the bad guy I've opened this with, who has the dedication, the drive, the desire, he's going to see it that way. If you didn't protect your kid, well, I'm out here doing what I do. So it's like you said yes. So anyhow, that's why we're here. We want to give you the information so you don't say yes, even accidentally. And so, that internet connects your front door and the key to getting into it to everyone in the world. And when you look at it that way, now do you want to fix your internal controls with your family?
So how would you talk with a younger child compared to someone coming into early teens, into a teenager? What do you think are the different stages of talking?
So the early child, first of all, if they're not old enough for you to talk about this, they need no outside connections. So if you have a program, a video game, it should not have chat or external communication on it. If you can't talk to them, then you can't expect them to be able to handle the world.
That's something people don't understand, is most things have forms of connection, whether you use them or not.
Correct.
Gaming systems, apps that you have chat capabilities, and you need to know what does and what does not.
Again, there's a YouTube video for everything you need to know. You need to do your due diligence to understand this device that your child has, what's its capability. And if you can't talk to them about trafficking, they are too young to have unfettered access on the internet. Or I would say any access on the internet. So you can get games that don't go to any sort of chat room. You can get games that don't allow your child to communicate with pictures, audio, video, sound, any of that. And so that's the first step. Put your internal controls in. Your next step is when you're able to start talking to them, then what are their permissions? What are you going to allow and what's appropriate? I would say err on the side of caution, because anything outside of your control with parental skepticism, you need to understand, could destroy this beautiful life that you've been nurturing. You can't nurture more than a bad guy can destroy. So, like I'm a little chunky and you can't outrun a bad diet. That's what fitness trainers tell you.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely can't outlove the destruction a bad guy could bring to your house. So don't hide behind, we love each other and we talk and we communicate. It's a lot more detailed than that. So getting back to that idea of understanding what you're up against, you need internal controls. So we went from no internet to maybe there's some things learning and whatever that have some internet, but what's the rules around that?
Yeah.
So suggestions might be you only communicate with someone when I'm present. They are only on a specific app for a specific purpose that has a specific level of monitoring. And then you can build from there. But if you just start with, if something happens, then I'll address it, you've given permission to everyone in the world to target your child. And I'm sorry, but that's true. It's harsh, but it's real.
Most people think I have a strong enough relationship with my kid. They tell me everything. That's not really something we can rely on. No,
and it's a most common thing that I hear. And it's the thing that's like fingernails on a chalkboard for me when I'm, giving a speech or doing what I do. And a parent assures me that their child will tell them everything. Well, let me tell you, I'm 61 years old. There are things I never told my mom. She's deceased now, and I still hope she doesn't know. And there were nothing bad, just things I don't talk with parents about.
Yeah.
And the same thing is, if you think, oh, okay, well, that's cute. What didn't you tell your parents?
Yeah.
Most parents look at me with these big doughy eyes, and I go, exactly. So that leads us into really important, pay attention, take a deep breath, hear me now. You needed a conversation with your child to discuss who's a trusted person they could confide in if they don't want to come to you. And to a parent, that hurts. You think, well, they'd come to me with everything. Do you talk to your parents about everything? No. I'm 61. I still don't talk to my dad about certain things.
Yeah.
In his eyes, my children were immaculately conceived.
That's right.
They just dropped out of nowhere by the stork.
Yeah.
So don't be silly. Your children need a valve or someone they could go to, a trusted adult, maybe an older sibling, but at least a trusted adult, maybe an almost adult sibling.
So that's a good conversation, is to say, okay.
Who is that?
Yeah, what does that look like?
Let's identify that.
Even why do you think that?
Yes. Let's have this conversation. Because, today it's not relevant. Let's have it now.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the kid needs that and they don't have the safety valve. And I promise you can still be a good parent and allow that to happen.
Yeah, that's good.
And so that discussion might be, hey, who's an adult that you trust? Maybe I'm on vacation or something and you need to tell someone something urgently and my cell phone died and I don't have, who would you go to? And they identify that person.
Right.
And then you need to go, okay, is that a good deal? Is that something I could think is a good choice? It might be, maybe it's not. But again, that parental skepticism. Okay, let's start building our foundation here. So let's say it is a good choice that your kid comes up with, because they're pretty smart, even when they're young. I mean, my little grandkids are way smarter than I am some days.
Sometimes kids have a good gut, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. So let's hope you agree on that, and we'll go that way first. So then you say, okay, there's a lot of things in the world that I don't want you to know about yet, and they could be harmful to you. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, you'll start to learn about them. But right now, I don't want you to know everything because I love you. So if something comes to you and you don't feel like you want to talk to me about it, would you promise me now that you would talk to this person, whoever the child named? And let's make that deal. Shake on it, whatever you do. Fist bump. Okay, that's our deal. So you've made an internal control.
And would you recommend that whoever that person is, you also have a conversation with them and say, hey?
Absolutely. I would have a conversation and permission from them. Is this something, a role that you would be willing to fulfill? And I'm going to need you to confide in me after my child talks to me. You can filter what you tell me, but I need to know if I have a problem. And so then, like a triangle there, you have now made your family a little stronger and your kid a little safer and more comfortable. I mean, what a blessing. Just think. I just wonder, had I had that conversation as a child, I would have appreciated that. And, times were different and I had great people all around me. Maybe I didn't need the conversation, but it would have made me feel good to have it.
Yeah, knowing you had that.
It's a procedure. Mm-hmm. It's a policy.
And if things get strange, you have someone to talk to.
Yeah. And, as my parents got divorced and life got rocky, I probably should have had that conversation because I wanted to be my horse, luckily that worked out. But, I had to go to my horse to hear my problems. And probably he was good, but an adult could have maybe done something about some of my problems.
Sure.
So it's not bad. I want parents to understand they're not less of a parent because they have help.
Let me ask another one. You create your triangle. Your child knows they can go to this person. What if that person, something's going up? How do you prepare a kid for, okay, what if this is the person who's the problem?
So let's go back to that conversation. And let's say you get a pit in your stomach or something just goes, I think I'd rather pick someone else. That's the second phase of your conversation with your child. You could say, nothing really bad. Just go, I hear you, but Uncle Joe has really been a stand-up guy, and he has some experiences that you'll learn about when you get older. I think we could maybe agree on him. Would that be okay with you? Let them still have the choice, but kind of turn that conversation around.
But what if you don't know? So is there a way to get a kid alerted to when someone they thought was safe is not safe? I mean, what would those kind of rules be?
So outside of that conversation, again, we're building layers to their foundation. A layer would be any adult that tells you to keep a secret from your mom or dad is not your friend. Just because someone's nice to you does not mean they're your friend.
I think I've heard a surprise is different than a secret.
Yeah, I was just thinking, a surprise birthday party is okay. That's fair because you're going to learn there's a birthday party by a date.
Ultimately, your parents are going to learn. But
a secret you never tell, it doesn't feel quite right.
Don't tell anybody. If there's a common theme in people who've groomed and abused children, it's the don't tell.
It's the don't tell. And you need to wipe that off the playing board. Just cross that off. We're not going to have that rule in our family. Our internal control is transparency. And it means that if someone has tried to isolate you from us by holding a secret or trying to get you to not get along with your family, that's something you need to report to somebody and to be wary. And I think the idea of children understanding that not all adults' directions have to be followed all the time. And that's a hard one. What age do you start introducing that? But when it feels bad, you need to tell either your parents or your trusted adult or a sibling. Yeah. Siblings are great. They collect intelligence on each other throughout the lifespan. Mm-hmm. I always engage siblings in age-appropriate ways because they are the intel gatherers. So on these conversations, you also want to mirror it with the siblings and say, I need you to watch your brother or sister and report to me these things we're discussing because I'm counting on you to help me. Yeah. And, kids when they're young especially really want to help. So that's a good thing manipulate. I've learned from the manipulators how to properly manipulate for good.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Match their skill with our skill. And so saying, I need your help. I'm going to count on you. Older brother, I need your intel on younger sister. If you think it's something I need to know about it, it's agreed upon now that you will tell me.
Yeah. So why is it that kids have a problem telling their parents something?
Oh, that is such a good question. And I've had so much experience both from the parent side and the kid side trying to answer that question. The biggest one is guilt. And the bad guys use it like a scalpel. They're very good at using guilt.
Guilt combined with shame for something, or
a little lie here or there, something they shouldn't have done that they did.
Is that part of the trapping? Is that let's get you to do something, say something, do something that you could be embarrassed about?
Yeah. So in the grooming phase, early on, this person's going to listen, and especially young girls. Boys too, but women, we talk, we blah, 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 blah. And we're like, God, this guy listens to me so well. Right. Well, he's gathering intel. And you're telling him everything. Your hopes, your dreams, your desires, your fears, every fight you have with your mom, your older brother, your little sister.
Becoming your best friend in your mind.
And you're just like, wow, this is great. I just get to talk and just unload all this stuff. So, and remember to episode 1, the isolation is the big red flag. So this person goes from blah, 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 talking only to this person, and then not talking to their normal people that help them balance their perspectives, their friends, their family, whatever. So it's like a vacuum. All that information goes in. Well, then bad guy knows, okay, here's her biggest fear, here's her hope, here's her dream, and models the rest of the grooming to that. Here's how I mirror. We talked about mirroring, where they reflect back to answers you've given them, so that your brain fills in that they're just, so compatible. One of the main tactics to get around, in which I said in episode 2, you can't go, it's a bad guy, because he's already prepared for that. So anyhow, we talked about that the mirroring and the gathering of intel is used to create a perception that's distorted. And so the distortion is really the block, and the guilt embedded in the distortion is
what holds
the leverage that the bad guy has to move your child in a direction you don't want them to go.
That's why they don't talk, because they've got all this weight, they've got the guilt, they don't want to talk about it. How do you deal with that? Is there a way? Is there a behavior, or what is that? There is, and each case is a bit unique, and usually that's where I'm gathering a lot of intelligence to guide the parents on what's next, to break that spell, because it really is a spell. It's like their eyes are like this, going around on cartoons, where they go in circles, and you can't get any information into the target, the child. So the spell to be broken is, first of all, I look for, is there some reason this kid feels guilty? Was someone harmed or lied, or where's the lie? And then we forgive the lie. And, sometimes the kids never know I exist, and sometimes I'm there mediating between the parent and children. So if I find a lie, I get the lie forgiven. And that helps right away. So the weight and the burden's off for telling. And the lie's out in the open. There's no hiding it anymore. And so that gives the lie less power. And then the guilt comes with that. If it's guilt for something else, I find out what it is, and we forgive the guilt. So maybe somebody got hurt, I don't know, money stolen, objects taken, somebody was in the house that mom and dad didn't know about. I find that out, we forgive that guilt. Doesn't mean we accept it like, you can do it again. Right. But we just go, okay, you were under duress, here's why, okay, now, next step. And so you have to do it step at a time. The kids got groomed layers upon layers, so to undo it very carefully, step at a time. So what steps should you take if you think something is happening? What are the next steps? Document everything you found as you're finding it. Obviously, something's making you look. Start from the beginning, documenting it somewhere, whether it's your own diary, whether it's snapshots, screenshots. If you really think you've got a bad problem, start putting a recording. In Texas, we're a one-party state, you can record on your device, so make sure you set up to record and get prepared to combat this problem.
Next step is you need to prepare younger children to not be the next target. So I don't know, each case is different. Whatever that is, that would be my next step. Where's the younger children? What do I need to do to ensure that they're not being taken as well?
Is that because that's an immediate risk?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is like a pyramid scheme to a bad guy. Again, back to your child is not priceless, they're valuable. Meaning cha-ching, money, bank,
Right.
24-hour ATM.
So if I can get one, can I get more?
2, 3, 4. If I lose this one, I grab that one.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've helped many families where multiple kids have been targeted.
Wow.
And, one may open the door willingly or accidentally to the other ones. So I look for siblings, cousins, best friends, like whoever's right around my target. And the first thing I do is I want to get them safe and off the ground, like, what do you call it, off the playboard.
Yeah.
They're not on the board anymore, so we don't have to worry about that while we're trying to save
So you
the one we're
check
focused
it.
on.
First is to check, is that happening? And then second is
how do I shut the
protect
door to those younger kids? Are they online? Are they staying at home on the weekend? Are they visiting another parent? Is there a divorce? Do I need to alert the other parent to take extra precaution? I just want to get them off the playing board as soon as possible, because not that the target isn't important, but I can't focus on this one if I'm worried that these are now, and I can't save this one if I think doing that's going to put this one in danger.
Okay.
So it's a chess move.
Yeah.
To get them off the playing board. And you got to go really hot and hard at that.
I will say that's when anyone calls me and says, hey, I think I may have a problem. That's like when people say, my friend may have a problem.
Yeah.
You're like, you usually do. But I usually tell them they have seconds and then we have them call you.
Yeah.
And that intensity of response time is pretty important, I think.
It is. And in the years we've worked together, I've never gotten a false report.
I know.
I'm willing.
I'm ready for one
I'm
too.
certainly glad to say, no, that's not what you got there.
There's been a few lately who are just insistent. I'm sure it's not.
And it is.
And it is every time, yeah.
Yeah. So get those kids off the board. Then the next thing is, what's the strategy to protect the target? Are they still at home? So we don't want to lose that. And if they're 18, that is fragile, because if they walk out your door, you can't chase them.
They're free.
I mean, you can, but there'll be really bad consequences.
Yeah, they're legally independent.
Yes. So I need to assess the ages we're dealing with, how long this has been going on, what's the evidence, how can we get more? And I'm not always first looking to go to police. Yes, if we have evidence, let's go right now. But bad guys aren't dumb. They know how to walk the line. So usually I need to help the parent find out what evidence do we have and how can I best use it quickly.
Yeah.
So quickly might not be preparing a case that gets an indictment. That's a slow road. The quicker thing might be, how do I disrupt and stop? And so that's where we make a plan, and it's different every time. It might be reminding them of who they were as a child. It might be taking a long road trip in a car unexpectedly. It might be bringing in a friend that they've had an argument with.
And you're describing something, so the listener on their perception is that this person, kid, whatever, is away from the family is their assumption, and often not, often still in the home.
That's a good point. Ideally, I hope I get these cases before they've gone away, because we have a chance that's much greater. They can still be in the home while this is happening. In fact, most often, the bulk of this happens while they're under your nose. And it's so shocking. Every parent that asks for my help says, I never thought I'd need you.
And they don't believe it. At first they come in, this can't be real. And they're coming to you just to double check that it's not. That's the perspective most people come in.
Most times it is. Either it's like, I think something's wrong, but it couldn't be this, but someone said I should call you. And of course I always say, let's look at it. Sometimes it's like, I'm really scared. I know something's wrong. Like in episode 1, I talked about the mom going, my daughter's leaving tomorrow to go to Vegas where this guy is getting her in a movie.
Right.
Clearly big red flags there. So sometimes they're frantic, still not knowing exactly what it is, but there's a problem. And then the worst is if they know everything, and it's already, even the grooming is very destructive to their child's psyche.
Yeah, I think that's something, when we talk about it openly, I tell them mostly for the knowledge of get help immediately, because you're not equipped to do the recovery work. So when you look at people who've experienced trafficking compared to just grooming, the trafficking damage is so hard to undo, because the psychological damage before and during. But the idea that while they're still in your house, the damage is being done.
Correct.
That's hard for people to understand, that your kids have been going through a process that needs repair.
It's so sad to see your kid and know they're in danger and need help, and you can't help them.
Right.
And you do need help to help them.
Yeah.
What you would logically and intuitively do is exactly the wrong thing. So very important to get help.
Yeah.
And again, right now, identify who's your help going to be. Who would you go to if your kid's in trouble and you need help?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be me or you. I mean, identify just like we did for your child. Who's my trusted advisor? My daughter, she's 41 years old now. She's fine. She's healthy. But she was in a coma when she was 9. And she had had a traumatic head injury. And when I got to the hospital, I've repeated this advice ever since then, all these decades. I'm in shock. You can imagine, right? Your kid is seriously in medical peril. I walk into the hospital, and the first thing they do, by the way, when you walk into an emergency room and they know your first name, that is not good news.
Yeah.
I see people going up complaining, going, I've been waiting here for 4 hours and blah, blah, blah. And they act like it's a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
And I just look at them and go, you are so lucky to be waiting that long. Because when I walked into the ER, they knew my name. I was moved to the front of the line, and they put me in that little room where they tell you your daughter's in a coma. Okay, that's a lot to take in a moment.
Yeah, when you go fast, something bad is happening.
And what they said is, who is your person you trust? Not necessarily your best friend, not necessarily your mom. Who can handle a crisis situation that you trust? And I went, oh my gosh, my friend way over here. Not my best friend, not my mom, not my brother. It was someone that was very logical, that knew us, that I trusted, but that wasn't necessarily emotionally involved. And she walked me, my God, to this day, thank God for her. She walked us through the worst days of our life.
Yeah.
Because we needed someone to keep us moving forward. So when I say, like we did with your kid, identify that trusted adult. Right now today, homework for podcast number 3, homework is, who is that person to you?
Yeah.
And find that person and ask them, would you be willing to help me if I'm ever in a crisis handling my kids? Sometimes it's a godparent. Sometimes it's an acquaintance. In my case, it was actually a customer.
Really?
I had a stable, I had horses, and her daughters rode with me. And I knew her to be the most able to handle a crisis. So she had twins, so she had a bringing of crisis. I thought she's perfect.
Yeah.
And she was. And I thank her to this day. So you need to identify that person now. If you're going to have kids in this society, it's going to be a little more than sprained ankles and bump knees. You go ahead and identify them.
Yeah.
Ask them for their permission. It won't hurt you.
Yeah.
It'll just bring you guys closer.
We're identifying during the process in the house. Is there a different form of identification as there potentially is an exit? Does it look different?
The exit is so beautiful.
Yeah.
If we've gotten them before they've been trafficked, which is always the goal. And it looks like you might get more than one person to help you. If you wind up coming to me, here's what I've helped parents with over the years. I've interviewed the parents and the siblings. I figured, okay, here's what's going on. Here's who she was before this certain date. Here's who seems to have entered her life. And here's the evidence I have to say that she's been groomed. So it's a lot of prep work. It's like painting, right? Painting's nothing. It's all the tape and the prepping. That's what this is. This is the prep work. So then I will ask to meet with the child and the family, whoever I think is going to be helpful. I will begin to undo the magic tricks. And each child is different. Yeah. And it's never short. So I always act like I have eternity. Even if I'm busy, I don't rush this thing. And I ask the families the same. Go, look, I can't tell you what time we'll be through. Bring a lawn chair, bring some Gatorade. We're going to be here a while. But what I do is painstakingly undo the manipulation. And maybe it starts with, well, what was it like a year ago? What were your sports? Who was your favorite teacher? Yeah. And I'll take them back. And then in moving forward, I'll start to...
Like what's it been like lately?
Chess move, take one thing off the table, another thing off the table. Oh, so you really do like soccer still. Oh, it seemed like you weren't liking it. like rebuild those things that were taken away that made that person.
Wow.
And so it can take a while. It can mean that I just need to be there myself, and it can mean that I need the family as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But pull in an expert is important.
It could be a psychologist. It could be a pastor. It could be an older sibling. It could be someone that does what I do. Yeah. But the point is, it's step by step.
You have to, and I do think that's an interesting. I know when people try to help anybody who's been in or is in this scenario, they think, let's just empty the contents on the table, and what you're describing is what is necessary to dismantle an atomic bomb.
Exactly. It's that fragile.
Is that you're just going to gently pick out things until this thing is not going to blow, You
don't want to do more damage.
Yeah.
And you don't want to let the damage continue. So that's a good analogy. You're literally dealing with a bomb inside your child's head. And so you do need skill. You wouldn't call the non-bomb skilled expert to cut the red wire.
I wonder, is it red? Is it blue? I don't know. I'll try one. So that is, I think everyone we know in this space wants to jump in and help. And I'm like, no. You're not trained. Please always ask people who've been trained, because you want success.
You do. And this is a complex fix.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just cut off the internet and take the child away.
Right.
In fact, that's exactly what they want you to do.
It works for the traffickers.
Yeah.
They know your behavior. They know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And they're ready for it.
And they're cunning. I started with they have all the time in the world, and they're motivated, and they're skilled. In the book, The 55 Things Parents and Grandparents Should Know, I talk about a child that was targeted and groomed over a long period of time, that the parents actually went on vacation. And the groomer was stalking them on vacation, but they didn't know. And he actually made contact with their minor daughter while they were there in the hotel.
Wow.
And they didn't know.
Yeah.
And then she went missing months later.
Yeah.
So he was doing it in stages. And doing his damage didn't come in an instant. It took a lot of time.
In fact, we had someone the other day who, it was years later, and as we described it all, it dawned on her, that was trafficking. Hadn't seen her daughter for a couple of years. The whole framing of this sounds like it's someone that my child knows they're going somewhere. So there's almost like I'm not too worried about it. Is that common, or is that what happens?
It is, and usually I'll find the plans were much more in progress than the parents knew.
Yeah.
And the child was about to go missing or whatever, And there's also so many times that the child has met them in person that the parents didn't know about.
Sure.
Another case, the groomer actually appeared at events where the child was performing. She was in a choir, and the parents were there, and he was there.
Yeah.
And she's on stage seeing them both at the same time, not knowing what to do. Because they didn't have that framework set up. Yeah. They do now. And in this case, she was young. It had happened over about 6 or 8 months. I was able to get to her thanks to Red M and stop it, because he was going to do something more with her. Yeah. But I got to it before that happened. And so it took about 4 hours in the cold with my horses. I used my horses to get to her, which I often do. I love the horses are a good tool. Yeah. So we walked, finally the parents, especially the dad, they're like, I am so cold, I can't. I go, go in the car, I got this. Yeah. And he's like, but I want my daughter to freeze to death. I go, oh yes you do. I was using the cold to help me with, getting her to break the shell. And we walked out of the barn, and the mom's in the car, and she jumps out, and she goes, there's her smile. And from a distance, she knew I'd broken through, because her daughter was finally smiling after 6 months.
It's amazing how that happens.
And that's the picture I want parents to understand. When you haven't seen your child smile, there's a problem. Children should smile almost, uncontrollably. They should be happy, giggling. I look at children too. The one not bouncy. Yeah. I'm worried about.
Things you lose. Yeah. I mean, it's not, if they were never bouncy, they were never bouncy. But if they sang or made noises and they stopped, the things, because you watch it, we've been on the other side watching it come back,
Yeah. You look at a group of kids and they're all ding, and one's just might need to pay attention there a little bit, see what's going on. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. Right. But watch for those things. But when that mom jumped out and said, there's her smile, that was the best compliment I could have on the planet.
One of the things we've seen is suicide. This wasn't on the plan, but I'm just sitting there thinking about it. Attempted suicides, and cutting. I wanted to kind of maybe sew those together, because I've seen that And I don't know if that's, you may know, if that is that always connected? Is cutting connected to trafficking? And what is that? How do those all weave together?
Well, the self-harm, which could be cutting, it can be all kinds of things, usually goes back to a childhood traumatic, often sexual trauma of some type.
Not necessarily, but
not
often.
100%, but pretty high percent.
Yeah.
I don't know what it actually is, but let's say overwhelmingly, you need to look into that. Cutting is self-harm for some purpose, and it's usually triggered by that incident.
How does that work psychologically? Is that because most people think we've dealt with a case where someone thought it was just a trend, you know?
Yeah.
But how does that work? Is it a trend? Is that possible that I saw someone do it, now I'm doing it, or is it unlikely?
I would think less likely it could happen, but it also probably is short-lived if that's, trends are short-lived by nature.
Okay.
And so if someone's been doing it ongoingly, I think you really would be remiss to not look into that. There's a few behavioral mental disorders. I have a relative that has one that's born where she just doesn't avoid pain.
Yeah.
It was identified at birth.
Right.
We knew growing up this is going to be a likely future. Rare, but yeah, I'll give it that. But outside of that, there's probably been a sexual trauma of some kind. And it releases things in the brain that soothe that, as counterintuitive as that sounds.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a compulsion. So it doesn't get better without treatment. And treatment means someone knowledgeable in this can help identify the problem and sort out kind of a restructuring of the processing of what happened.
Okay.
And it can be done. If you avoid it, then, lose-lose.
Yeah.
So please look into that. Also, we talked in the earlier episode about AI, artificial intelligence, and just people on the internet meaning to do harm. Maybe they're not in it for the money. They're just in it for the evil that could be spread. And I have seen sadly, through our years, we've seen the self-harm and the suicides.
Okay.
And to me, it's like, well, if they were trafficked, I believe they died due to the trafficking, no matter if they were the ultimate ones that took their life, because it damages their soul so badly that they can't feel safe and secure. And like we do, it's almost like they have ants in their skin, except it's their soul. And then also, if they've been groomed, I've talked about the damage that grooming does. I have a real life scenario that explains it. Is I observed a young adult who had been groomed over a period of just shy of 2 years, and she had never had sexual experiences, had kissed one boy, totally perfect, innocent, straight A, two parents in the home, checked all the great boxes of a good life. And she was playing on a video game and started chatting with someone. And that led into 18 months of grooming, 2 months of just playing video games, 18 months of grooming. She became so dysfunctional that she was seeing a neurologist. And he was identifying deficits in her neurology, like losing time and accounting for memories, like a real visible, he could tell her neurology was dysfunctioning. And he kept running tests and could not identify what was causing it. It was the groomer. It is so severe what can be done to your neurology through just online communication. And it was so enlightening. Luckily, I got to read all the medical records and work with her family and understand how badly this had damaged her electric circuits running her brain. So you need to understand it's that dramatic, being groomed.
Moving over kind of into the depression, like it's not, once again, depression doesn't mean that you're being trafficked, but it is one of the potentials, or at least that can be a sign that you can see.
Yes.
You see that's true?
Yeah, I start asking questions of family like, were they always getting in trouble at school? Or did this start at a certain time period? Were their grades always slipping? Were they struggling, or did they do really well and then?
Suddenly.
So I start to identify a timeline with
changes
changes in behavior.
Drop? Is it it happens pretty quickly?
I've not seen anyone that's been groomed over a period of time that didn't have a drop in their grades.
Okay.
And so that's one indicator. Now, if someone wasn't in school or whatever, I can't account for that. But when I've had a kid in school where I could say, check the grades, well, yeah, actually about this long ago, her grades started slipping.
Interesting.
And they might slip a little and then a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And then maybe not even going to school or going to school and not staying.
Yeah.
So it's a slippery slope. That's what I'm looking for, that slippery slope. So was the kid prior to a year ago talking about getting in trouble, picking fights, whatever the side effect is we're looking at?
Yeah.
And if I get no, they were always good and then this started, that's when I'm starting my timeline to keep investigating further.
And usually that correlates to some activity beginning.
If I get into their online activity, I almost always find that's where they started getting those messages at 3 a.m. that were not quite what you'd expect.
Right.
Yeah. And then from there, I'll start to see, they skipped school. They'd never skipped school before. Well, that's the bad guy showing up. And getting them a little bit in trouble, and then a little bit in trouble, and then now they're just full-blown in trouble. Well, that's ideal, because now they've burned all their bridges.
So on the other side of trafficking, someone's gone. Often what we hear is the police won't look for a couple of days. Is that accurate? They generally don't, or is there a reason for that?
That is actually a kind of TV myth that's gotten worked into our society. If you have a minor child, the second they're not where they're supposed to be, police need to be involved. Perfect. And if they say no, say, let me see your supervisor.
Okay, good.
If it's an adult, same thing. Now, sometimes they'll give a little bit, maybe come back tomorrow. I disagree with that. If someone's missing and no one knows where they are, they're not safe.
Okay.
We are safe due to our social ties. My background is sociology. The more social ties we have, the safer we are in society.
Okay.
So just by anonymously not being where you're supposed to be, you're already a bit vulnerable. And then add to that time and other factors. So I worked in missing persons for 3 years. And I was getting out of trafficking because I thought, I'm really tired, I'm going to try something else.
Let me get away from that and do something else.
How silly. I mean, just like, where's the candid camera laughing at me? Because I called it fast food trafficking.
Yeah.
The missing persons cases were the nexus of where I found so many cases of trafficking.
Yeah.
That is it. It starts there. In the 3 years I did that work, maybe every quarter we'd have someone missing due to like a medical malfunction or they got lost. It was very rare.
Yeah.
Every day I had kids that were being groomed or trafficked.
That's
so
intense.
Missing persons, do you want to get involved? Go volunteer to missing persons, please.
So resources across the spectrum. So let's since we're here, let's talk about this. So the first thing, call police, call what else?
If your person is missing, file a missing persons report.
Okay.
And get a case number. Then if they're a child or a young adult, maybe 18, 19, call National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They'll make up a flyer for you and they'll put them in some other databases.
Okay.
You're still not done. That's just the busy work. It's up to you to find your child. I love law enforcement. I work with them. I train them across the United States. And when I ask the executive, so I train executive in law enforcement, so they're the ones that run the department, I go, who considers missing persons a civil case, not a criminal case? All the hands go up. Who has a specific unit for missing persons? All the hands go up. So the police departments most often, not always, but most often, are not necessarily geared to missing persons.
Yeah.
Police departments want a crime and someone to arrest. That's their business. Maybe some traffic control, but that's what they do. Burglary, awesome. Something got taken, we know what it is, we take a picture, we arrest somebody. That's how they are set up. Missing persons is a lot messier than that. It's harder to close, and police want to close cases.
Yeah.
This is why I'm telling you, it's up to you to find your kid. So what you need to do is start documenting evidence. Like I said, when you find a problem, start documenting that moment to show that a crime has been committed or your kid is in danger. And you need to keep documenting that and use that to engage police.
And are you able to access, if your kid is gone, phone with them, access their accounts? Is that something that's possible, or is that legal, or how does that work?
It gets dicey. And so that's why police need your help. They need a subpoena. You may or may not. And if your kid's missing, I don't know about you, but I don't care about the consequences. I'm going to find my kid, and I'll deal with the consequences later. And I've actually had that work out for parents when they did clearly cross the legal line, but they found their kid being trafficked. The law went after the trafficker.
Yeah, they're not so worried about that.
Yeah, now flipping that around, the trafficker, while trying to hide your kid, is going to use the law to come after you. They're not just going to give your kid back.
Wow.
So they're going to look at, how can I get these parents in trouble while I have their kid. In one case, a dad wound up spending about $10,000 on an attorney because the bad guy had the minor kid say that the dad had done something inappropriate with her, which he had not. Everyone knew he hadn't, but he had to lawyer up to face the consequences. And of course, right after he lawyered up, she came clean with, no, he told me to lie. Well, the lawyer didn't get that money back. $10,000 gone. So when I say you open the internet to every bad guy in the world, it's not without consequences even to the parents. So put your internal controls on. Watch what you're doing. Watch what your kids are doing. But back to how do I document? Record phone calls. Get into those accounts that you do have access to. Ask siblings what they have access to. Look at who is commenting, who's liking, who knows the person that's commenting and liking, and go down that digital, I call it digital DNA of your child. I actually have a form on my website to collect all their passwords and where they've been, their email addresses.
So someone can just get that now? Yes,
you can go to traffickingvictimrescuecentral.org and under, I think I have it under resources, download digital DNA kit. And really important.
So you can do that now?
Free, no charge,
And you can do that with your kids if they're, like, you should be telling them these are, especially kids where legally, they shouldn't have control of these devices, so you can...
Yeah, and that's part of the deal of getting a device.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to record.
You're going to know.
Whether you tell them or not, but you need to record what is the email address my kid, because when you sign up for an app, it needs an email address. And it also needs a backup. So even if they're using email address number 1, but you have email address number 2, that's going to help police later. So before they get a device, you can get my form or you can make your own phone. It has Instagram, Facebook. Here's the login, here's the email, here's the password, here's any phone number that has been texted from, and you just start building a history of your kid's online profile.
And then as they're older, that would be, you'd have to get their approval anyway. I mean, before it's kind of like, I'm the parent, now but it's probably wise.
Yeah, start
if we have
as an
access.
investment now. Yeah. And say, hey, until you're paying all the bills.
Right.
But the thing is to start to have something to work with should your kid go missing. Or should somebody be targeting your kid, we can look back. Police can get subpoenas to look at those things. And it used to be that not everyone had to cooperate, but now they do. But it's a short time period. They can dump data every certain amount of time. So you want to get on that. The second thing is let's say you do have access to the accounts and everything, you're going to look at who's liking, who's posting. And when you look at that person's profile, do they have a lot of dollar signs? Do they have pictures of money or guns? Do they have pictures of females with just body parts, not their faces, where it's clearly kind of a commercial sex idea?
Oh, okay.
Then next you would maybe look at maybe someone doesn't have that profile, but they're friends with someone who does. And there's likes going back and forth. So you kind of have to get a little intuitive with it. But you're looking for those inappropriate people you wouldn't want around your kid. And so that's how we start chasing the likes.
And then usually you can find it through that. You can find it through their friends, who's liking, who's connecting, who's interacting.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of that publicly. I mean,
yeah, those are most often either public or within certain accounts that have access. And then what you want to do is compare that with messages. Hopefully you've got access to messages. And you look over here and you go, I don't think I want that guy writing my kid. Is someone related to him writing her over here at 3 a.m.? And are they saying, because those messages aren't going to have a smoking gun, they're going to go, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
You're smarter than your mom. How dare that teacher not give you 100? You know more. You don't need school. That's the grooming language you're looking for. And if you connected to this guy with Mr. Dollar Signs and a gun on his side, it's pretty obvious what his motivation is. Wow. Your kid is now revenue. I just love all those little kids, but I don't want them staying at my house all day. So if your kid's hanging out at some adult's house and they're teenagers, there's a problem.
Yeah.
As much as I loved my kids, it's 5 o'clock. Where's your parents? If you had any friends over, I'm like, I'll drive you home.
Yeah.
It's like, come in dinner time. I want y'all to go home.
Be with your families.
If you got some adult that's got 20 kids over at 6 p.m., I don't know. One of those parental skepticism. What's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they distributing things that your kids shouldn't have? Are they exploiting things? Are they grooming them to introduce them to a friend that's worse?
Yeah.
So watch for that. I love children. I have risked my life for them. I don't want them hanging out in my home past a certain time. It's because I'm a grown-up.
Yeah.
And they're cute, but I'm not their best friend.
Yeah.
Also, do you have someone that's maybe 40 and he's listening to the woes of a teenage boy that's 16?
Yeah.
What does a 40-year-old care what a 16? You've already been through all that.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's not really interesting unless something's wrong with your psyche.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to some people I really want to commend
Yeah.
that have done some great work in this field. On YouTube, I don't know them. I've never worked with them. I've just fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's Colorado Ped Patrol. And PED stands for Predator. So Colorado Ped Patrol.
Patrol.
And the backstory is this man named Tommy. His kid got molested by, or I guess, I don't know the right word. His kid was harmed by someone he met online, is the right way to say it. Being a dad, he said, well, I'm not going to stand for this. And so he cameraed up, literally got a GoPro, started a YouTube channel, and he started meeting pedophiles in the park or wherever they wanted to meet.
Wow.
And so instead of a child, which he put himself online as a 12-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy or whatever, you know, his decoy was, put himself on as a kid online, and then he sets to meet. Well, of course, the kid doesn't show up, but dad with a GoPro and police show up, which I love. It's quick, it's easy to understand, there's justice at the end. And what I do, it takes months and maybe even years before I get to see that level of justice. But what he does, it's a very couple of hour, you know, he works much harder than that, but I'm saying overall you can see it in an hour or less. Point being, the reason I mentioned Tommy and Colorado Ped Patrol and what happened to his son is he parented up, really impressed by that. He didn't just protect his kid and go away. He said, what can I do about it? In less than 2 years, he met over 500 adults willing to do unspeakable things to children, and he reads their text to them, so you hear the grooming. If you ever want to understand who's targeting your kids, please tune in to their YouTube channel.
Okay.
And listen just to a couple of episodes. It will curl your toes to know that your kid is online being targeted by these people. And so Tommy's not the only one. There's multiples that do this. Another good one is Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
As we all remember from his To Catch a Predator. Long before smartphones, he was doing this. Well, he's doing one now called True Blue, and they've worked in trafficking to their setup. So they have a scenario that the bad guy is lured into where they can charge them with trafficking, which I so commend them for doing so, because that's a bigger charge than they were getting. And it shows the willingness of so many people. So these are two totally separate personalities that are setting up these stings. One, no law enforcement. A dad, he calls law enforcement at some point, but law enforcement's not part of the setup.
Yeah.
Chris Hansen, law enforcement's there from the beginning. They both have met hundreds and hundreds. They're never not busy. I mean, as many as they can do, there's predators willing to meet a child. All the texts are unspeakable, but what they have in common, and I want people to hold a minute and listen to this. When they ask the bad guys, what are you doing? You could have turned around. You could have walked away. The bad guys always blame the kid. Somehow the kid talks sexual to them, which neither one of them do that. They have to be approached first.
Yeah.
On both scenarios. They're just out there being a kid.
Right.
And somebody comes into their messaging.
They instigated it.
Hear this, parents. The kids didn't ask for it. Somebody came in just because they're a child. And then they start this graphic conversation in both scenarios almost immediately. They're talking really bad immediately about what they want to do to this child. They're given times to walk away when they get the age. They restate the age. They say, I don't understand that. I've never done that. Would that hurt? And they don't walk away.
Yeah.
So then they pull up, and they're always suspicious because they know they're committing a crime.
Yeah.
And they'll drive back and forth, and they'll look around, and they'll text, go, just making sure you know you're an adult, right? You know, they'll try to cover their texting tracks. In the Chris Hansen case, it stuns me, except I know it's real because I mentioned it earlier. They walk into a house with a child alone that is not their house.
Right.
over and over and
crazy.
over. Why would you walk into an adult's house with their child, not expecting something bad to happen? They have guns, they have knives, they have drugs, they have sexual paraphernalia. They're bringing that into someone's house and they don't know who owns it.
Yeah.
They are so focused on what they're going to do to this child.
And they've been doing this. That's the problem with the show. Is it's not a problem, but it's multiplied out. This is happening.
This isn't the first rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
They all say it though. Okay, so my comparison is
Never done it before. First time.
I didn't believe in demons until I watched this, but there's some of that idea in these people. Mm-hmm. It's all men, I'm sorry, but in this scenario, this works for them. In other scenarios, women do different things. You have the Colorado Ped Patrol and the Chris Hansen. Both of their bad guys always say it's the first time, even when they've been already on the sex offender registry. They always say, well, I really wasn't going to do anything, except I brought all these things,
To prove I was going to do something.
Yeah, rope even, duct tape. They're walking into some parent's house with the child home alone. And they always say, I was stupid. Doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. They just meant they were stupid for getting caught.
Yeah.
They always say, yeah, I've seen the show.
Wow.
Both scenarios, they say the same thing.
Mm.
Some of even go, yeah, you're doing good work.
Wow.
They never, I've seen hundreds of episodes. I've seen one guy go, wow, I could have hurt a child. Never, except for one guy, did anyone worry about the child. Not once. And I've watched all ages, all races, all scenarios. I mean, I literally, for a few months, dove down on everyone I could consume. And that's it. They do not care about your child. And in each case, had that been a child, instead of a dad with a camera or Chris Hansen with a crew.
Would have just been another night for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So parents, wake up. If you don't believe me, tune into YouTube. I challenge you. Mm-hmm. Watch 5 episodes of Colorado Ped Patrol and watch 5 episodes of Chris Hansen's True Blue. Yeah. And then parent. You must do so. That is your homework for this episode.
Do that. That's the final homework.
And cheer them on. These guys, my gosh, thank God they're out there.
I know. I had a friend actually send me one of them who was refusing to talk about trafficking. He's a well-known person out there. And he said, I find it too heavy. And then finally sent me one of those episodes and said, this guy deserves a Nobel Peace Prize.
They do.
And I was like, welcome to the fight. Like, where you been?
Yay!
Like, yes, that's why we're doing this.
They have done so much good that probably they get not, I mean, you could praise them and not do enough, but they also get attacked.
Yeah.
And the sheriffs that cooperate with Chris Hansen, I commend, and Tommy, who can get law enforcement trained, because in the beginning they won't come and, and now they're like, oh, where's the cuffs? They already know that he's done his homework. He's very methodical. And so I love that building of community. And so second to your homework, what could you do in your community? I mean, a dad strapped on a camera, a journalist made it his mission to do a certain type of journalist. Maybe a lawyer makes a practice part of their practice. Yeah. Maybe a graphic designer explains these things I'm saying in a graphic that could be used.
Yeah.
Whoever you are,
come on
watch those episodes and then come back and tell me what you got to offer.
We got work for everyone to do. It doesn't have to be too much. It doesn't have to take over your life, but it can just do a little bit, and we can use it.
What are we here for if not to help our children? Because, without them, what does it matter what you and I do if we had no children? If children were so damaged that there is no tomorrow, which is what this does to them, what's the point? Why get up and go to work tomorrow?
We're ending, but on a positive note, what is positive out there?
Everybody has a stake in this, has a responsibility for this, has an ability to change this. Because honestly, one of the big myths is, well, law enforcement will handle it and blah, blah, blah. Watch those episodes and tell me, law enforcement needs this.
Yeah.
The best things that happen are civilians getting what's needed to engage law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement has to have a trigger to investigate. And that's where we come in. If you don't want to do law enforcement, great. How do we help? And identifying grooming, not letting it exist, taking down that magician strings. Oh, wow. Then we don't need law enforcement because the kids are equipped. So have community events, speeches. I love to give speeches.
Good point.
Training.
Invite you to come in. You're happy to do it.
I'm happy to do it. You can reach me at our website. Engage whoever group in your community would like to have me, whether it's PTA. I love code enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about other types of trafficking, they are so wonderful because they can get into any door.
Yeah.
Where law enforcement needs a subpoena, a code enforcement officer just walks in. I love to speak to grandparent groups. There are groups of grandparents that are raising children.
Yep.
They really need me. They're already at a kind of disadvantage.
Further distance from technology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, sky's the limit. Schools, colleges, done a lot of speaking at colleges. And I tell you, just to go back just a little bit, when your kid jumps off that deep end of the pool into college, they're really vulnerable again.
Mm-hmm.
And there are traffickers that literally, they actually enroll in college for that opportunity. And they're not really going to school. They're getting there to check the new freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyhow, watch your kids at college as much as you did at home. And engage your community. Share this book with another person responsible for a child, whether it's a parent or grandparent.
They can get the book at
traffickingvictimrescuecentral.org or DottieLaster.com.
There you go.
Or just Google 55 things parents and grandparents, and you'll probably get the rest of it to pop up.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks for writing the book. Thanks for spending numerous decades now working in this space and helping people.
23 years now.
23.
That was a quick couple of decades.
Isn't that something?
I thought I'd do it about 5 years.
I know. That's what most people do. Most people can only take that much, but
still kicking.
Still kicking. Keep kicking. Kicking down those doors.
Keep those internal controls going. I'm going to audit mode now.
Yeah,
internal controls.
Do your homework.
And have me come to your community. I'd love to. I want to make your community safe for your kids and really hostile to traffickers.
I love it. Okay, watch all episodes. If this is your first one, then go back to number 1 and 2.
That's your homework too.
Yeah. And we're glad to have had you on, Dottie. We'll probably have you again some point, but
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
And thanks for Red M. Everything I do is supported by Red M. And in 23 years, and all the grants I've written and all the work I've done, Red M is very unique in supporting direct work.
Yeah.
All those grants went to other things and not really where I wanted them, even though I wrote them. Thank you.
Yeah.
And anyone out there supporting Red M, please do so freely because they're very unique in the world and supporting people like me that are really doing the work. Yeah. And sadly, that's rare. And it breaks my heart because who's more important than our children? Nobody.
Yeah,
yet they're underfunded in every way possible.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. So let's switch it around. And thank you, Red M.
And donate to you also. I mean, we do it, but others should too, because the money you'll always tell us exactly what the money was spent on, and it's always worthy work. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
If you want to gather your community, we have a model called Action Speaks that you can use as well. That allows you to get into your company or any community and start talking about trafficking in a way that's very light. This has been pretty heavy, but we do a very light starter, and that's a good way to get involved as well. But usually that leads to at least one person reaching out to Dottie. So.
Get me busy.
But that's okay.
Bosses really need to get engaged because if their employees have missing or trafficked children, they're still coming to work.
Yeah.
And they're not working.
Yeah, they're distracted.
And they have to decide, do I take this phone call or lose my job?
Well, sometimes it's the boss's kids as well. I mean, we've seen all of it. We were talking, I won't say which, a major computer brand. We were speaking there the night before. They said, what do you expect? And I said, well, probably 1, 2, maybe 3. People tomorrow will have some engagement with their kids, and trafficking was 3, and they were shocked.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe that 30 people would deliver in their just general group of 10%. Employees.
Trafficking doesn't discriminate. It's the one thing on this planet that has absolutely no discrimination. Mm-hmm. Social, economic status, money, race, age, disability, it's all good.
Just any vulnerability. And we all have some vulnerabilities.
If you don't have one, they'll make one. So yeah. Good. So I'm so glad. And I just really want to shout out to the podcast and to Red M. And I couldn't do what I do without y'all. Thank you.
Well, we love being a part of your mission with you. Thanks. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.